What makes life meaningful? One of the all-time asked and all-important questions of your life, right? Well, come to find out, the answer is a surprise twist. What makes life meaningful and rich and joyous is suffering. So is the conclusion after a career of study in human psychology by Paul Bloom from the University of Toronto. He documents his findings in a book called Sweetest, The Pleasures of Suffering and a Search for Meaning. Now, from an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense that we have pain. Pain is what trains us to avoid things that can damage our body or threaten our survival. Just like hunger, pain drives us to eat in order to sustain ourselves. And just like lust drives us to fornicate, to reproduce, pain also pushes us away from things that would otherwise hurt us. Now, all that makes sense. But what can be perplexing is, why do we seek out pain and suffering? Why do we choose to inflict pain on ourselves? Why do we go to movies that scare us? Why do we do things like marathons and triathlons or mud runs? Why would anyone do the Tour de France, cliff dive, or do what is called death diving, where you're awarded for points for the amount of pain that you inflict on yourself? Why do people engage in boxing, cage fighting, bull riding, or choose to climb Mount Everest? Here's the answer. We love to suffer, from big ways to small ways, like eating hot chilies, struggling with a crossword puzzle, sitting in a sauna, hot baths, cold plunges, deep tissue massage, or rolfing, running till it hurts, or curling your muscles until it burns and ultimately fails. Heck, you wouldn't choose to become a parent if you weren't a natural-born masochist. No one is unaware going into that hellscape that it is going to be difficult and will require lots of pain and sacrifice and endless worry, anxiety, and suffering. Yet, we keep pumping out more and more chitlins. We choose pain and suffering. We seek it out. Okay then, why, you might ask? Great question. Here's why. Contrast. You can't experience good without bad. There is no such thing as pleasure without pain. Happiness doesn't exist without suffering. Just as darkness is only possible because light exists, we experience pleasure only against the backdrop of pain. In fact, in order to maximize the pleasure of an experience, you often need a big dose of its opposite. You see, who would want to play a game in which success was guaranteed, in which failure is not even possible? That would be boring and would render success meaningless and unpleasurable. Failure is what makes success worthwhile. The contrast is the sensation that brings joy to the surface. Teddy Roosevelt said, "Nothing in the world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty." I really hope that you're getting this. Okay, the writer and philosopher Alan Watts once posed a thought experiment. Suppose that you could dream any dream that you could imagine, night after night for as many years as you wanted. Odds are you'd start off by pursuing a fun and simple pleasure, kind of like Bill Murray's character in Groundhog's Day. But that would inevitably get old. Soon, you'd start ceding control over your dreams because you desire challenge and chaos and eventually suffering. You're going to throw in some obstacles. You're going to set up the possibility for failure. You're going to set up situations where you do fail, because if you don't fail, then success means nothing. In the end, Watts said, soon you will be living a life in your dreams of complexity and struggle and pain, and he says, you'd be living a life much like you live actually today. There is a deep insight here, which is that the good things in life only make sense relative to the bad things. Are you catching this? If you win every competition that you engage in, there's no fun to it. You have to have the possibility of loss. If all your experiences are positive, they cease to become positive. You need negative, you need pain to have pleasure. Suffering is what makes it meaningful. So, my DarrenDaily friends, my message of love to you here today is, don't beat yourself up for your failures. Don't get down about your suffering. Don't even seek to avoid pain. Know that all of that is what sets up the joys that you will feel in success, in accomplishment, in progress, in overcoming, and ultimately in victory. Develop a new relationship with pain and suffering. Don't let it debilitate you, let it liberate you. Have it fuel you. Have you feel what it is to be intensely alive. Because, as you know, without it, life is numb, it's boring, and it's meaningless. Embrace the struggle, accept the suffering, and push through the pain, and you'll experience the full verve and juice of what it is to be alive, to thrive, to actualize. So jot down some notes in your Darren Daily Journal and share with us what has been painful and difficult and might have caused you suffering. And because of it, on the other side, it made the experience meaningful and rewarding. I think we'll all learn a lot by the references and stories of others. So be sure to share yours in the comments below.